VOA English to Africa's 60th anniversary is celebrating the impactful programming and contributions made by Voice of America to Africa. One notable figure in this journey is Shaka Ssali, the longtime host of Straight Talk Africa. Shaka Ssali played a pivotal role in providing a platform for African voices to be heard and engage in meaningful discussions on topics that affect Africa.
I definitely congratulate the Voice of America for covering the African continent for 60 years. When I was recruited by the Voice of America, you had a great lady by the name Margaret Binder, who was the director of the Africa division. You also had an equally great guy who was Dr. Gregory Alonzo Pririo, the chief of the English to Africa. These two guys had a mandate to make the Voice of America more relevant to the African audience. And there was an effort to begin coming up with what was characterized as the African voices and perspectives. And for the first time, I was part of a team that was recruited. Gregory recruited African journalists from different parts of the continent. He also established stringers on the continent who would be filing straight to the Voice of America. We basically brought the Voice of America much closer to the audience. Straight Talk Africa was a unique platform that gave me the opportunity and the privilege to serve the African people in terms of informing them accurately, objectively, about what was happening in and outside Africa.
Another key figure is Gregory Pririo, a former English to Africa service chief, accredited for his significant role in hiring talent from Africa and making VOA relevant to the African audience.
Hi, I'm Gregory Pririo, and I headed the English to Africa service from 1991 to 1995. I had been the head of the Portuguese to Africa service, and I took advantage of the telecommunication changes that were taking place at the time to reach out to Africa and make African voices heard on the Voice of America like they had never been done before. And for the first time, we could get reports directly from Africans on the ground talking about the situations in their country from their perspectives. And so for the first time, we hired what we call stringers, which are correspondents that work on a piecemeal basis for us from many African capitals. And it changed the type of programming we were able to offer to our listeners. And in addition, what we did was we were able to, for the first time, we made the effort to hire Africans to work in Washington for the Voice of America. I'll give an example of this. One became a superstar in the broadcast media, and that's Shaka Ssali. And another example was Richard Cote from Ghana. And James Buddy came on board. There was one African working in the English to Africa service, an Ethiopian, Ashanafi Abeje, and he was the only one out of the whole team. And the other thing was our listeners could identify much more with even the voices, the accents of the people that we hired. And it made a big difference, and our listenership grew.
Thanks to the dedication of individuals like Shaka Ssali and Gregory Pririo, Voice of America's English to Africa programming has successfully connected with the African audience.